Coming from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, and welcome to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. It is Friday, yes, the last working day of the week, Friday, 6 June 2025, and we're coming to you live from the Port Mall here in Scarborough, Tobago. I am Adana Kumbi. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. A wet one, albeit, but still, we give God thanks for life, for health, and for strength, and for being here to, appreciate what is happening in and around us, appreciate the people who are with us this morning. We indeed give God thanks for life. I do hope that as you are getting ready to go out this morning, remember to walk with your umbrella, perhaps your rain boots, your coat, whatever you need today to protect yourself from the rainy weather. I'm not sure if it will rain all day today, but for the morning part, it is a bit wet and rainy on the outside. So be prepared. We have a beautiful show lined up for you this Friday. As you know, it's Relax Friday. So we're going to keep things nice and chill this morning here on the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. But before we get into those conversations, here's your news in 90 seconds. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar rejected Venezuelans' claims that a paramilitary group entered their country from Trinidad and Tobago, stating there is no evidence to support such allegations. She addressed reports involving Trinidadian Goose Kendall Jerome and warned Venezuelan officials against violating Trinidad and Tobago's sovereignty. Persad-Bissessar vowed to protect national borders, including authorizing deadly force against unidentified vessels. In light of threats from leaders Maduro and Cabello, she announced a review of national security and the status of military-age Venezuelan migrants, accusing Venezuela of using propaganda during times of internal unrest. Following a brutal attack on a teenage girl at a secondary school that left her hospitalized with severe injuries, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar has announced a new stance on school violence, declaring that such behavior will no longer be tolerated in the nation's education system. The Prime Minister promised swift policy changes and that all school assaults will now be treated as expellable and arrestable offences. Students who film or encourage violence will also face punishment. She stressed that school uniforms should not shield offenders from legal consequences and warned that threats or attacks against teachers and principals will result in expulsion and prosecution. And finally, over 400 triathletes are set to compete in Saturday's Rainbow Cup at Turtle Beach, Tobago, an event that may mark the final edition on the island due to financial difficulties. Organizer Jason Gooding, who succeeded his late father Ian, is leading the event, said mounting costs, including staff and lifeguards, have become unsustainable. Despite the challenges, this year's lineup remains strong, featuring sprint, standard, youth, and try categories. Gooding emphasized the need for corporate sponsorship to preserve the event's legacy, which has fostered sport development and community growth over the years. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Viewers, of course, so many things happening in and around Tobago. We're looking at the situation here with Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. And of course, cause for concern. I'm not sure if you saw Dr. Keith Rowley's response to the Prime Minister's remarks as it relates to Venezuela. But there's something that we really need to pay attention to. And I'm hoping that our citizens are, in the know as to what is happening. I want us to pay attention to what is happening in our spaces so that we can make informed decisions. Remember that your voice also counts, and your voice will make an impact when you are well informed and you understand what is happening. So let us start to follow regional trends, global trends as it relates to our relationships with other countries and regions and designations, so that we are able to manage our expectations and how we strategize. The government is there in the position, of course, to implement policies and to make decisions where we are all concerned. So we need to be in the know as to what is happening and, the decisions that they do make. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the morning where we celebrate with those who are celebrating. It's time for our birthday shout-outs. And of course, we here at Tobago Updates Television, we love a good birthday shout out. So this morning we start off by saying happy birthday to Darren Henry, also known as Pogo. Darren Henry is celebrating a birthday today, and we say happy birthday to you, Darren. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope that you have a wonderful, amazing birthday today as you head on into the weekend. Yes, what a time to have a birthday, which is in the middle of the heading into the weekend. I'm sure the celebrations will be grand. Next up, we have Ansel Bruce. Ansel Bruce is my classmate, yes, of class of 96. He's celebrating a birthday today, and I say happy birthday to you, Ansel. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful birthday today. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, we pray God's blessings upon your life as well. So happy birthday to you. We also have Natia Wilson. Natia Wilson is also celebrating a birthday today, and we say happy birthday to you, Natia. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we hope you have a wonderful, amazing birthday today. We say God bless you, and we hope that the chapters of the pages of this new chapter rather are beautifully written for you. So happy birthday to you as well. We also say happy birthday to Renesia Rajman of Pembroke and Little Miss Abigail Waldron, wishing much love and God's blessings upon their life. And we are hoping that you are listening to this morning, though we don't have your photographs. These greetings were sent in to you, and we do hope that you have an amazing, amazing birthday. And just a correction, on Tuesday, we celebrated Malik Stewart. That's Malik Stewart's his correction is Malik Smart. So we want to make that correction this morning, and we say happy birthday to all of you. Look, whether you're celebrating a birthday, an anniversary, a promotion, a new car, time out for yourself, whatever you are doing, we join in the celebration with you this morning here at Tobago Updates Television. But we remind you also to put God first, because He is the sole reason why there's even anything for you to celebrate. Who are we having conversations with this Friday morning in studio? Well, I can tell you. We start off the conversation by speaking with Mr. Ruston Wood. He is a physiotherapist, and this morning we're speaking about men's mental health awareness. Yes, and how does physiotherapy fit into that? So we're going to have that conversation this morning, and I do hope that you are tuned in. You want to be a part of the conversation as well. And of course, it's Friday, so Mr. Cricket, Marcus Daniel, will be in studio, and he'll be speaking with Kalicia Rochford and Khadijah Sobers, a team member and a teacher and coach of the National Netball. And we're talking about National Netball Championship this morning. And then he speaks with Downey Marcel, head coach of Ball Blasters, and Rayvon Marshall, captain of Ball Blasters National Championships as well. So we're talking about sports. And as you are aware, on this weekend, the triathlon is taking place right here in Tobago. People are coming from far and wide to participate. I myself have some friends coming across from Trinidad to be here. So you want to be on the outside this weekend enjoying what is happening, you know, even if it rains or whatever, you want to enjoy what Tobago has to offer. Remember, people come from all over to enjoy what we have right here free of charge. So whether you're right here in Tobago, in Trinidad, the Caribbean region, the United States of America, England, Canada, wherever you are, Africa, Asia, Australia, all of Europe, this morning we say thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we invite you to help us share the live. We'll be right back.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, morning.
With Flow Business's new smart solutions, powered by super fast, reliable broadband, you'll feel like there are more versions of you working for you. From website design, development, and digital marketing to promote your business, 24/7 business class support to cloud solutions, security, and more. Multiply your growth today.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversations this morning in studio and we speak with Mr. Ruston Wood. He is a physiotherapist and we're talking about men's mental health awareness. Good morning and welcome.
Pleasant good morning to you. Pleasant good morning to everyone. The whole of Tobago and by extension Trinidad and Tobago and the world. That's
right, because of course we have a wide viewership. We're talking about a very, very important topic this morning, and we know sometimes we take this category of people, men, for granted. We take our mental health for granted in general, and also we think that men are the stronger gender, and so perhaps they don't have mental situations that they need to attend to. And so we want to bring awareness to the fact that men also need a space where they could feel safe and relaxed and, work on their mental health. They need to be aware of what is the situation happening with me. And I know that you're a physiotherapist, right? And of course, dealing with men, you're a man yourself, and you also might have, some situations that you might, I need a little 5 minutes on a bench somewhere, to relax, to de-stress. So talk us through how did we get to this place where we have to come to an awareness of our body, what our body is saying, and the things we can do to de-stress.
Well, most times we always have the view that men are supermen, and there are no situations that is beyond us. And no matter what comes at us, we always have to deal with it. So we often hear that we shouldn't be emotional. If there's a problem, we often are the ones who would fix things. And there are a lot of times that we would hide that we are a little down emotionally, or we might need a little help, or we just need a little place to get away, and to rejuvenate ourselves and stuff. Now, as a physical therapist, when patients come to us, we don't only treat their underlying problem. We look at them from a whole holistic level, and we look at what are the events that would normally cause these conditions. And most times when we do our evaluations, is because these people are in a stressful environment that also result in these conditions that we have to treat. So then now, in order to set our treatment, we have to do a whole holistic treatment plan for them.
And you know, you said something earlier when you say people think that men are superheroes, and they think that when you have a problem, you can't be too emotional about it. You just get it solved and leave it as it is. But sometimes, like if you get emotional or you seek any type of help, let's say therapy, like therapeutical type of help, people think that's a weakness. But for me as a woman, if a man seeks help, for me that's his strength, for me, and I want us to kind of break the notion, viewers, of men seeking help. There's nothing wrong with that. A man is a human being first and foremost, right? And so when he has the stresses of life, you have to go somewhere to release it. Otherwise, you can cripple yourself, right? What does your body say when you're holding on to stress and you're not trying to release it in terms of taking a walk in the park or sitting on a bench, going for a swim somewhere? How does your body respond to that type of stress?
Well, your body responds in plenty ways. Sometimes you will see it on your skin. So sometimes people will have breakout on their skin. Sometimes you will see people in terms of their activity level, they will have a reduced activity. Their energy level is a little bit low. Their performance output is a lot low. So there are a lot of ways, or they tend to get sick a lot more often than somebody who is in a less stressful environment. So there are a lot of ways that this stress can manifest itself onto someone who is in this situation.
And what are some of the things you can do to de-stress, to get away from the building up to the point where you're becoming unwell? What are some of the things you can do when you start realizing things getting too heavy for me?
Okay, there are a lot of things that we can do, but I'm going to break it down into it's about 3 to 4 points. The first thing is this: setting deadlines. A lot of us, and I'll often tell my clients, if you do not set unrealistic deadlines, so if you know that you can perform a task, let's just say in about, if you know that you can perform a task in half a day, don't tell that person that you will accomplish that task in half a day. Tell that person you will take a day to finish it. That gives you enough time to comfortably perform that task and accomplish it without putting yourself in that situation, right? Many times we would wait close to the deadline to start the project, or sometimes you never know what could happen. There are some things that could come up that could cause a delay, and then definitely put you in a stressful situation. My family, we often have a nice little laugh with my dad. When he's traveling, he doesn't like to put himself in any stress. So when he's traveling, he would have a nice little list that he would write out weeks in advance. And when it's coming up time for him to travel, he would go through this list and make sure and pack his things. We all are in stress because we have to get these things together. But he would make sure and pack his things. And when he's ready to travel, he ensures that we are at the airport about 3 hours before.
That's a man of wisdom.
Yes. So we learned that from him, that you don't put yourself in these stressful situations that will cause that.
And I like the fact of the setting the deadline things in terms of being realistic. I like not having to rush to force yourself.
Yes.
I am guilty of that sometimes because I work really, and I shouldn't be putting this out here, but I'm okay under pressure sometimes when I come to a deadline, and I'm guilty of getting there. So yes, I have to pay attention to that level of advice, pace yourself and do stuff like that. What are some of the other things that you can do, especially when it comes to nature? Because I hear a lot of people saying that nature is something that can refresh you and recenter you. So how can we integrate using what we have to relax?
We are lucky to live in an island where it is green and serene. And not because you're working in a stressful situation, that doesn't mean that you have to always stay in that environment. For example, Tobago has a lot of lovely beaches. It has a lot of forts around that you can just leave your work just go and distress. So sometimes you're in this work, you're in a stressful environment. During your lunchtime, instead of eating in a job, take a drive, go up to the fort, have lunch there, go to the beach. Just sit. You don't have to bathe. You can bathe, not because you go to the beach is an excursion. Sometimes a simple bath, like a 15 to 20 minute bath, you go there, sit, relax, rejuvenate yourself, and go back. Always, the important thing is this: get a safe space away from everyone that you can just go get away and just distress.
The last part you said, they get away from everyone. You know, sometimes the noise, and it's not necessarily it being noisy, but the demands of other people around you. You're at work, your supervisor want this, your co-worker want this, the person sitting next to you wants to borrow your pen. It's like so many things happening at the same time while you're also carrying what is happening at home perhaps, or what is happening with a negotiation elsewhere. And you know, sometimes it really is good to get away from what is happening and just focus on where you are. In terms of trying to identify what your stress is and isolating yourself from the stress, how do you see men kind of trying to figure out, yes, I know I have all of this to do, but let me try to focus on you? Do you see men actually putting themselves first in that kind of way?
Most times we always put ourselves second place. So we are so engrossing in providing, protecting, and getting things done that we often put ourselves second place, and that is where the problem is. That is where we put ourselves in this stressful situation. How do we get out of it? You take that time away from everyone. Set aside a time in your busy schedule. Incorporate that in that schedule, and that is where we make the mistake. We tend to set aside a time to distress instead of incorporating that distress time in our normal activities. And perfect example, just like what we just said, in your lunchtime, right? So a lot of us would work through our lunch so that we are always in this stressful environment. To let us take time out in our normal activities, find a little safe space in our job. Sometimes it could just be on the corridor. It could just take a little walk outside just to distress and come back.
So we can integrate it in our daily lives. We don't have to plan a whole month of, I'm getting away from this place for a month because I can't take it anymore. You can literally do a 5 minutes per day to get yourself into a good mental space?
Yes. No, you can do both. But many times we would wait until we have this long holiday before we decide to distress, right? Even though doing that is good, but we also need to find nice little pockets of time during the day in our busy schedule in order to distress, especially us as men.
And you know, men, they don't really talk. Men are not like women. If girls get together, oh my goodness, we could talk for hours on end, sometimes about things that make sense and things that of no consequence. Do you see men coming together as buddies and just sitting down over perhaps a drink, a game of cards or something, and talking about the situations that keep them in a place that they just feel heavy and burdened?
Yes, that is a very, very, very good thing to do to distress. Playing sports, right? Either playing sports or looking at sports. I love to do both.
Oh yeah, we know.
Right? I love to play sports. I love to look at sports. I know for those who love to look at sports, I want to say a special good morning to all the Manchester United fans.
I knew this was coming.
Arsenal fans and by extension Chelsea fans. I have to plug that in today. I know that this season is extremely stressful for them, but for the Liverpool fans like me, we are cool and calm and relaxed for this season and on to the next. But the point is that these are some nice activities that you can do. Walking. I've been to Kano Bay, and that nice strip along that Kano Bay area, that's a lovely place that you could just walk and relax. Going up to French Fort, there's a nice place. Riding, I must commend the people of Plymouth. I notice that every time I drive through Plymouth, we have people, I see adults riding. And that's a really, 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 really good thing. And now I'm seeing the younger people now modifying their bikes so that these are activities that guys could get into that they love away from their work, right? That would help them to distress and by extension, being healthy. So finding healthy activities that would help you distress is so excellent. But activities like alcohol abuse and drug abuse should not be used to distress, but healthy activities, we can use that.
I'm happy that you brought that. I wasn't expecting that, but that you brought that into the equation as well, because sometimes we use what we call coping mechanisms, like the alcohol and the whatever, as you're mentioning. But there are also healthy ways for people to kind of cope and integrate themselves back into a healthy place to ensure that, you know, you're doing kind of okay, because the demands of life are so many that sometimes we really need to get in a good place. So I just want to go over the 4 main points you spoke about this morning so that our men and women also, who are supposed to be supporting our men, can understand the things that they need to ensure that they're in a good space mentally.
Okay, the first one is setting a good deadline, right? That's setting achievable deadlines. That's 1. 2, finding a safe space in order to get away from stressful environments, in order to distress. The third one is to find a healthy activity that would also help to distress. And I want to just plug in one more thing: sleep. We always sacrifice sleep, so we would set up late in the night, doing what I don't know. Listen, we always on our phones, then we always on the TV, and then by the time we turn around, it's wee hours in the morning, and then we get up early because our day is so stressful, and we sacrifice sleep. And sleep is really, 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 really important. So that is something that we also need to do. We must also have adequate rest as well.
Very, very, very relatable things that you can do, that you can put in, and it doesn't cost anything. I didn't see any expense here based on what you're talking about. Set a deadline, find some place to distress. These are things you don't have to pay for. Ladies and gentlemen, are we speaking with Mr. Ruston Wood? He is a physiotherapist, and we're talking about men's mental health awareness and things that men can do to distress. I know sometimes it's more difficult for men, because women, we will talk, and we feel better after we're talking, but sometimes men bottle it up. But these are some things that men can do to ensure that they can distress, and you can integrate it into your daily lives. Lunchtime, instead of eating your lunch by your desk, go outside. You can even take a stroll around the building. If you can't get to the beach or whatever, perhaps you don't have a car, walk down the hill, walk back up, something. Just breathe in that fresh air during the day and just take your mind off the demands of the day. So those are some of the things you can do to ensure that you're in a good mental space. And for the women, for the men in your life, make sure that you are that support for them. Make sure that you provide a space where they can feel comfortable and relaxed to be who they are. Remember, when a man is in his full potential, we women, our lives are so much easier. So let's support them and let them do what they need to do with as little stress as possible. We have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio this morning. And as we go, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Saving up to go. Anything we not backing down, like a bomb we ready to explode. Ain't gonna wait until my back against the wall. Ain't gonna.
Tobago, this is your chance to lock in the brunch experience of the summer. Sun up.
Real bad girl get nasty.
The brunch inclusive exclusive edition, the ultimate party in the East, where vibrant flavors, refreshing cocktails, and electrifying vibes collide. It's happening on Saturday, July 5th from 3 p.m. at Deltec Compound, Argyle. Bring your coolers, bring your crew, and brunch, sip, and vibe in style. This is the flavorful escape you've been waiting for. Grab your tickets now at Barcode, Pablo Supermarket, Lost Restaurant and Lounge, Deltec Compound, and committee members. Sign up. It's more than a brunch. It's an experience.
Hair goals, we've got them. At S&R Hair Fantasy, we provide a wide variety of quality hair, the latest hair accessories, adult toys, skin lightening products, female underwear, and much more under one roof. Check us out on Shelbourne Street in Plymouth or call us at 317-0808. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. S&R Hair Fantasy for queens who know exactly what they want.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme.
Well, I want a proper window for me house, yeah? I want no shake thing in my place.
Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces.
We get one wall on the side and we get one hole. You can put a window there, invent something, a window for put there.
At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style.
Well, me meet ya. Me don't know who I'm talking to, but the children, cousin Tofina tell me, for call all you go get proper thing for put there. Me don't know.
Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business.
Driven? No, I ain't driving. I get a bus ticket. One of me pick me them go drop me down there. Must bring me down there. Russo Trace Printer down by the place down there.
Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products, it's about relationships. It's about you.
It's all about me? Who's your family? You know Edna and Dorka and them, you know them, but you resemble them Edward boy and Edward people them you.
Tobago Glass Supplies, Russo Trace Spring Garden, telephone number 639-6266. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Guys, there are some new developments in housing in Tobago, so it's goat racing time. This is 116, the show that keeps you in the know with all things Tobago House of Assembly. Each week, 116 delivers a fun and engaging overview of the latest developments, achievements, activities, and events of our dynamic assembly. So join me. Let's dive into the Tobago House of Assembly's Week in Review right here on 116.
Good morning, morning.
Hey viewers, welcome back to Tobago Updates Television. We are now into the sporting segment, and today is ready. Of course, Trinidad and Tobago Soccer Warriors. They are taking on St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots this evening at the Hazy Crawford Stadium in a crucial World Cup qualifier. Yes, we believe come next year, Trinidad and Tobago, we're going to make our second appearance at the World Cup. But we need you guys. We need you guys to go there this evening. I'm already decked in my red. Hopefully I can be down there on time. Once Caribbean Airlines agrees in getting me down there on time. To support the Soccer Warriors, there's going to be a sea of red later on this evening. Yes, supporting the Soccer Warriors. But of course, on this morning, Tobago Updates Television Sports, we have some champions in their own right. On set with us, we have the Table Peace Government Primary School National Netball League champions 2025. And later on, we're going to hear from Downey Marcel and Ball Blasters, also national champions, Republic Cup. But first up, we have Kadisha Sobers Jackson. And of course, we have Kalicia Rochford, a champion. And of course, Mr. Morning to you guys.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, I can see the brightness on you guys on the face. You guys are still elated. Was 2 days ago? Was 2 days ago you left?
Yeah.
2 days ago, you guys journeyed to Trinidad, and you best the schools in Trinidad. Bring the title and the trophies back to Tobago. I mean, how is that? How is that still? You know, let's say, boy. Let me put it this way. How has the celebration been? Winning the title and come back to Tobago?
We're still celebrating. Mm-hmm. I know that the Isabella Foundation, based in Lekoto, has plans for them, as well as in collaboration with the community.
Yeah.
Our school as well. I don't want to give away anything. We are in plans in celebrating them as well, and also, of course, Mr. Jackson, but they call him Mr. Sobers.
Right.
He's also planning something for them as well.
Yeah.
But we are still a bit in disbelief, you know.
Disbelief, wow.
Yeah. We put in the training and we've come this far, and it's quite surprising, you know.
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned the community of Lekoto, Golden Lane, Table Peace Government Primary School. I mean, what's the population of Table Peace Government Primary School?
We're just about 100.
Just about 100.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, guys would have brought some kind of pride and stature to the school. This is probably your first national title at a school level?
Yes, my first national title. We missed it just by that much last year, but we came back with heart and dedication.
Yeah.
And we accomplished it.
Yeah, let's talk about the journey, right? Obviously, you are Tobago champions, and obviously, as a result of Tobago champions, you journey to Trinidad. So let's talk about this season, an unbeaten season.
An unbeaten season in Tobago and Trinidad.
Wow. Clap. Is that, and in total, how many games in total you guys played this season?
Approximately three group games.
And that's in Tobago, right? 3 group games, yeah.
3 group games in Tobago, the semi-finals, and then the final. So that's 5, and then 3 in Trinidad.
Yeah, and who you guys defeated this year in Tobago?
This year, our friendly rivals, because we are a team, St. Andrews, Anglican. We defeated them 14-3. Although it was a bittersweet because, you know, we are really close.
Close, right.
Yeah.
Close in terms of you all train together?
No, close in terms of relationship we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And 14-3 victorious in Tobago. Tell me about the Trinidad leg.
The Trinidad leg, we were so nervous, honestly. Our quarterfinal game was against St. Barb's, and they came up to meet us at Bon Accord.
Oh, so they came to Tobago. That's quarterfinal, right?
the girls were nervous. They were like, "Miss, who we playing?" So we were detectives, Sherlock Holmes, sleuths. We were.
So you did your research about the school.
Did our
Yes, that's very
research.
good. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah.
And we found a few videos, and we were like, right, so we're doing this, we're doing that. So we came with a game plan. Yeah, and defeated them as well. I think it was 14-2.
14-2.
Yeah.
Right, and then you went on to the semifinals.
We went to the semifinals. We went down to Trinidad last week, and we played Enterprise Government, and we also won that game. And that's the video you saw with, in front of the airport.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah. But I mean, we play at the hard court in Tobago, right? And obviously at the semifinals in Trinidad and finals, you transition into the hard, well, the board court.
Yeah.
Was that a difficult transition to make from outdoor to indoor?
It was actually really, it was better for them.
For them, okay.
But the finals, the kind of hard court, the board court, it was pretty skatey, slippery for them.
Because I know, because you might have more traction on the harder court.
Yeah.
Maybe difficult on the knees, but I mean, that's what you're accustomed to. You train and you practice with the harder court.
Yeah.
But then to get into the more, as the skatey, if it is that you're not wiping the court as often as possible, that can mess up your game plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a challenge for us, but the girls rallied through and came out on top.
Fantastic. So Khaleesi Rochford. Miss mentioned that the players were nervous. Were you nervous?
Well, I didn't pay much attention to the game. I had my mindset on doing my best. Like Ms. Soba said, 150% or even more.
Right. And you came out MVP of the whole tournament.
Yes.
I mean, tell me about your season. I mean, the MVP season. Where do you think they would have picked you as the MVP?
I think they would have picked me because of my passion, and I really took my 150% and put it all out. But when I found out that I was MVP, I was very shocked. Because, yes, there are other players that are as good as me. I didn't think I would have came out that, but now I'm very proud of myself for going so far and doing my best.
Congratulations. What position do you play?
I play in netball, goal defense.
So you keeping them fellas and them young ladies off your goal post?
Off my goal.
That's what I'm talking about. Any career plans in terms of netball?
Well, I have my short-term plan and my long-term plan. My short-term plan is when I go to high school to continue netball, whatever high school I go. And my long-term plan is to continue my career in the National League of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. So since you have arrived back from Trinidad to Tobago, right? Have you been treated as a hero? Mommy making breakfast, lunch, dinner for you, everything?
Well, when I came back, it was in the night. So I went to sleep. I don't know about anybody else, but I went to bed and had a good nap, and I woke up and came here.
I love it. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Isn't that the only sport you play?
Well, I play football on a side and any other.
But your passion is netball.
Yes, my passion is netball. I love netball.
Yeah.
Football is a sweat.
Yeah.
Please, I do not play cricket.
You don't?
I don't play cricket at all.
Oh, I feel it. You're not for me, you know. I feel it. You're not for me, you know.
I don't play cricket at all. But I love netball.
You love netball.
And I wish that we could have gone out and played more games.
Yeah.
I think we would be playing more games in the future, which I'm very excited for because, as I said again, I love netball.
I like it. And you're very well spoken as well. Tell me about your coach. Tell me about Ms. Sobers.
Well, my coach, Ms. Sobers, is a very funny person. Our practices is always enlightened, and we never have a boring practice. But some of my favorite words from Ms. Sobers is go and get the ball. And it's always an inspiration with Ms. Sobers. And I guess you can say our second coach is Miss Mills.
Miss Mills?
Yes,
a teacher?
Miss Mills. She's our second coach, I guess you say, our biggest fan.
Right.
She always cheers for us, whether she's at a game or not, and I love that she's always there for us. Miss Sobers has her little voice, but then her big voice is Miss Mills.
Miss Mills, I love it.
Yes.
And Miss Sobers, I mean, have you played netball at a particular level, high level?
I started off playing at Scarborough Met, and then on to Signal Hill Comparative, but that's where my netball days ended.
Yeah.
But I took that passion for it and turned it into coaching.
Right.
So I don't have any technical or expert coaching qualifications, but I would have used what I learned from then and did research and learned and then came to train them.
Right. So any plans to take the coaching a bit further outside of coaching at the primary school level?
Oh, that's interesting. I honestly like teaching.
Right.
But coaching gives me the opportunity to reach them outside of the classroom and be able to inspire them and encourage teamwork and unity. So we could see possibility of things happening there. Because I also believe that, you know, if God forbid something should happen and I lose my teaching job,
you can go to coaching.
I have things to fall back on. Because I also did coach in volleyball. I did a course in that. I did a course in umpiring as well. So yeah, avenues to fall back on.
Yeah, I like that because I mean I can give an example of at the primary school level, Scarborough RC dominated this primary school football league. Yes, and now they have a club called Eagles. And they came out of the primary school level into Eagles. So I can see something coming out, something happening here with Panthers. Panthers, that's in the moment. Panthers, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But how do you marry the coaching and the teaching? I mean, where do you find the time? Because obviously, to be a national champion, you must put in a lot of training and motivational, motivating the players out of the classroom. I mean, where do you find the balance or strike the balance as a teacher and a coach?
Coaching, I really love coaching netball, so I make the time because I'm also the Standard 5 teacher.
Standard 5, you see?
So, yeah. So, we had to balance preparing for SCA and training as well. So, when it came closer to SCA, we would have kind of eased off on the training, but we would have decided, okay, we're sacrificing our 2 weeks Easter vacation. We came out, even though it was my birthday week and everything, we came out.
I saw that as well. Yes.
Yeah, we came out, we trained, we pushed because we said second place last year, not cutting it.
And you got second place to who last year?
To
Scarborough Methodist.
Scarborough Methodist, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so it's all about, I mean, folks, you've heard it from her, right? It's all about making time for what you are passionate about. And I'm sure that the community of Lekatu and the school, and the principal, what's the principal at Table Peace?
Miss Cindy Williams.
Miss Cindy Williams. And before, of course, we're looking to wrap now. I mean, well, you mentioned Miss Mills. Anybody else you all want to shout out as to would have been in the background, would have supported you guys wholeheartedly, a sponsor, the community, talk about those persons.
We would have had support from the entire staff, even a teacher who recently retired, Miss Adams. She was there on the plane and she came down for the finals. We have our supporting parents who would have treated the girls when they win, when they would have won in Tobago. We also have the Isabella Foundation, which is based in the Lekatu community. They would have donated balls, coolers and everything like that.
You see that community again.
Yeah.
And don't tell me about government. If the community can come together and support, I'm sure that they want to be a part of this celebration as well because they would have contributed to the success.
Yeah.
Come on, communities, man, support the kingdom. Yeah. And of course, Standard 5.
Yes, I'm
so,
in Standard.
So this is your last year. You'd have left the school with something well, in fact, so they're going to put your name up in your classroom. So that yes, to come there and see Khaleesi Rochford right there. Or you can get a picture and frame it and
Of course.
See, I give you ideas, to ensure that will inspire others. I mean, how does it feel to be leaving the school now?
It feels like if I was there for so long. I made so much memories with all the teachers.
Yes.
Having a new principal was kind of enlightened. It was a really new change for us. But Miss Cindy Williams-Lord is a wonderful principal, I would say. A very funny one. And my days in Table Peace was very, well, it was a very complicated time, but it's a very fun time. The students have a lot to learn, and I hope that they learn from us with continuing their careers. And we have some new persons coming out in netball that Ms. Sobers would be training.
Right.
So I pray
Succession.
for the best for them.
Fantastic. You want to shout out to your parents and their brothers and sisters if you have?
Oh, yes.
You want to shout them out? Go ahead. Big them up.
Well, I know my mother who has work, but she still watches all the games for the finals. After the finals, she called me and she was shouting, congratulations and all of this.
Yes.
She said she was so happy that we won. And I want to shout out to the match pass also, because we worked so hard for that match pass. The year before, which is the year when we lost the match pass, we actually didn't get to do our match pass properly. So that was our downfall. But this year we came back.
I mashed up the place.
Yes, I will mash up the place. We left no crumbs, and we make sure and let everybody know who Panthers is.
Final words, Miss Sobers. I can understand why she's MVP, you know. And of course, congratulations on the MVP award, the most valuable player in all of Trinidad and Tobago. Miss Sobers, final words.
We just want to say thank you for all the support we would have gotten from the school, from the community, from the parents, and we look forward to your continued support as we start training again for the next season. Once it was good once, we'll try to do it twice.
Wait, do you all have a Panthers chant?
Yes, we have a chant.
Let me get the chant before you go now. Let me get the chant before you go now. Let me get the chant.
Panthers, Panthers, hear us roar. Fast on the court, we're here to score. Pass it, shoot it, goal by goal. Panthers' pride is in control.
Yeah, they're talking about. Thank you guys so much for being here this morning, and again, congratulations. And don't forget to call me for the celebration. Food and drinks. Let's come when we come and celebrate. And I want to shout out to the community, all the sponsors, every single person that would have been involved in this team's success, continue supporting, and of course the other schools and communities get involved as well. You guys have a very important role to play in the development of sport in Trinidad and Tobago. We're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to be chatting with Ball Blasters, Republic Bank champion nationally. But don't forget, share the live, share the live, share the live.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 GB fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Hair goals, we've got them. At S&R Hair Fantasy, we provide a wide variety of quality hair, the latest hair accessories, adult toys, skin lightening products, female underwear, and much more under one roof. Check us out on Shelbourne Street in Plymouth or call us at 317-0808. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. S&R Hair Fantasy for queens who know exactly what they want.
With Flow Business's new smart solutions, powered by super fast, reliable broadband, you'll feel like there are more versions of you working for you. From website design, development, and digital marketing to promote your business, 24/7 business class support to cloud solutions, security, and more. Multiply your growth today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back, and thank you so much for staying tuned to Tobago Updates Television. Joined on set with the biggest Messi fan I know, Donny Marcel, and the World Blasters Club, of course. Again, champions nationally. Always good when we have Tobago teams going to Trinidad and beating them Trinidad teams, because nobody has that rivalry with Trinidad and Tobago. But let me say good morning to you guys. We have Mr. Ravion Marshall, right?
Yes.
Ravion Marshall, a player, right? And of course, we have Mr. Donny Marcel, coach, World Blasters Sports Academy. Congratulations, guys, firstly. And of course, this is what the second year, 3 years in a row I've had you guys on. Of course, as champions of the Republic Bank Cup. This is a tournament that you look forward to, Donny.
Of course, over the years, it's one of the tournaments that is really instrumental in the development of youth in Trinidad and Tobago. And I played that tournament myself as a...
Wow, so it's years.
Well, back in the years. And, numerous Tobago teams have reached right there.
Yeah.
And, it's not easy. It's never easy to win those teams in Trinidad, especially in U15, 16, 17, and we are so grateful. And, God blessed Ball Blasters with some talented young boys, and we work really, really hard. We work really hard, and you know, to win an under-17 national title is no easy feat. And representing the island of Tobago as well. You know, opening that door for the national coaches in Trinidad, especially in the youth age groups, to pay attention because, you know, we are doing well in Tobago. Not just Ball Blasters, because there are numerous clubs across the island improving, and you are seeing where the standard of football is reaching to a different level in Tobago. So we are happy to win the under-17 this year.
So let's take me through the trophies won. Because I'm seeing a lot of medals around this young man's neck, and I'm seeing some medals as well. Tell me about the trophies won, and obviously the champion trophy and individual medals as well.
Well, of course.
Individual trophies.
Well, we have here Captain Fantastic.
What?
Vivian Marcel. He was actually, he received the award for the player of the tournament.
Player of the
not the final.
Not the final.
He was the player of the tournament. We also captured best goalkeeper, and we also captured MVP of the tournament.
What's name?
Jediel Marcel, sorry, and Caleb Romeo, our goalkeeper. He was the goalkeeper, and of course
under 17. Under 17, right?
I also got the award for the coach of the tournament, 2025.
Big up myself one time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, Ravion here, you know, good job. All these medals are the for the league. So what happened? We have the Tobago
of Tobago, right?
Yeah. So we won the Tobago Zone Republic Cup League and Knockout, and these two were for the finals. So these are the final medals.
So how many age groups did Ball Blasters register to participate in?
2 age groups.
U14,
U17.
Right.
U14 boys, of course, they played a wonderful finals, and they lost that one on the whistle. I mean, it was a real difficult game. Pro Series, well-organized team in Trinidad. They're one of the top clubs in Trinidad. And, you know, it was 2-2 until like 1 minute to go. And, you know, a little error in defense, but of course, nothing that we cannot work on because, you know, when you're dealing with young players, you have to expect that level of inconsistency sometimes because they are now applying their trade. So we were expecting to take it to penalties. And, you know, unfortunately, we have seen it over the years where last-minute goals could break the heart.
And as you mentioned, I mean, lapse in concentration, that's it. Especially in a final, you know, it just had to be right there until the final whistle. And who did you play in the under-17 final, and what was the final score?
We played FC Jinga.
FC Jinga.
That's a team from the Eastern Trinidad, really good, again, a proper team again. We have met them in numerous competitions, and they're really difficult to play against. But we did well. We scored the first goal, and then we came in at the half, 2-1 down. You know, went to the dressing room, had a conversation, and the boys went out, and I didn't even think that the team got a shot, our goal in the second half. They got a shot, Ravi?
No.
Because, you know, we really wanted it.
Yes.
Because last year, this very same team, U16, we lost in the finals on the whistle to Pro Series.
Right.
Because the score was 1-1 going down, and then late down in the game, they give us a sucker punch there. And, you know, the boys really desperate because we would have won under 14 last year. We were the national under 14 champions last year.
And I was under 17.
Right.
So the under 14 boys, they would have actually moved up to under 17.
That's right.
And national champions.
That's right.
I mean, is that double for the guys? I mean, and Ravian, player of the tournament, congratulations. That's no easy feat because I know that there are hundreds of footballers that participate in this Republic Bank Cup.
Yeah, for sure.
And to come out as the player of the tournament, how does that make you feel? Man, which village are you from?
I'm from Plymouth.
You're from Plymouth. How does that make you feel coming from Plymouth, being the player of the tournament nationally?
Well, I think that reach out to the community that I'm a great player.
You're a great player, I like that. You support Manchester United?
No, but
go ahead.
But thank you for congratulating me, and I think that I worked hard for that throughout the tournament, and I think we played well.
I mean, what would have contributed to your team's success this year? Because you mentioned, well, last year, Marcel mentioned that this team missed out on the national title. And what would have contributed this year to getting over the line?
I think the hard work to come back and win.
The hard work to come back and win?
Yeah.
And what position you play?
I play centre back.
What kind of captain are you?
I think I'm a robust captain. I think I talk a lot and encourage the players.
And encourage the players. I mean, any particular player is a troublesome player? You have any troublesome player on the team?
No, not really.
Yeah, because you are the boss. When you talk, like, is it there?
It don't always go away, but I think they listen and we communicate to each other. I listen as well, and I think I talk to the players really well.
Yeah, fantastic. And what about Coach Marcel? What would you say about Coach Marcel? What kind of coach is he?
He works us really hard.
Yeah.
And he allows us to reach our potential and make us reach places that we think we wouldn't reach.
Yeah. And in terms of the entire season, because it was a very long season, yes, the highlight obviously would have been winning the title. Any particular game, stood out for you and was probably difficult and you got over the line?
I think it was the final.
It was the final game?
Yeah, because we went up and then they come back.
You got relaxed?
2-1, and then we had to go in the break down. So Coach Man talked to us in the halftime and we come out and play in the second half much better.
Yeah, and what about you? What are your aspirations as a footballer?
Well, I want to be a professional footballer and make the national team for the big men.
Yeah, and Coach Man, tell me about Marshall, because to be player of the tournament, captain, says a lot about his potential as a footballer.
Well, to be quite honest, this is the type of player where you call coach's player.
Right.
We had our little issues last year because, of course, he was playing midfield.
Right.
But I saw the potential in Ravian, and I encouraged him to play centre back for me in the Prem. Because to qualify for Premiership, our centre back Jediah Phillips got injured. But out of all the players, he was the only person I think that could go and slot in, and we did well. We played against Moruga, leading 3-1, and if he want to go up and score, he want to stay in the back. And
young people again.
Yeah. So and even said at the beginning of the Premiership season last year, we were struggling for that centre back pairing because Jediah did not come back to school. And
this is Signal Hill talking about.
That's right.
Secondary school.
Yes. So I call him and said, Ravy, you had to be my centre back. You had to come. I think if you play there, you're gonna really help the team. And his approach, his maturity, and the way how he loves the position now as a centre back and as a captain. He's a true leader. He's disciplined. He's humble. You never hear him shouting at the players and talking down to the players.
The captaincy brought that on him.
Yeah, for sure. He always encourages, and he's one of those few players where you give an instruction and he tries his best to follow.
Yeah, and as you look to wrap, what's in the pipeline for Ball Blasters? Because Marcel, you guys are doing wonderful things, right? Last time I had you, and you mentioned that there was some collaborative effort with universities across.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you back talking about that as well. But in terms of what's in the pipeline for Ball Blasters?
Well, we just celebrated 7 years as a club, and we are grateful for that. So we have a lot of activities coming up right now. We are still working on our boys. We have a huge tournament coming up outside of Trinidad and Tobago.
Outside of Trinidad, okay.
Yeah. A little difficulty with acquiring some important things that we need to travel. So we may have to push it back a little bit.
Right.
Not much, just a little bit to ensure, because we don't want to leave here and go there and end up in a precarious position.
Yeah.
The Forex is a bit of an issue.
Yes.
So, when we travel, our numbers large. So we will travel with a U9, U13 up the road.
And we have had some bad situations before with that.
But I would say unfortunate situation,
Put it that way.
Yeah, but we don't want to end up in a situation where, players are under pressure because we could the establishment that we went to get the
support.
Yeah, in terms of the Forex, they couldn't assure us the amount.
Right.
So we didn't want to take that risk and leave here and go up there and hoping, and then it never comes through, and then we end up in an unfortunate situation again.
Like cartel. Sorry.
Marcus. But we will continue to work. We have some tournaments coming up. We have City Cup. That's, I think, the biggest tournament locally in Trinidad and Tobago outside of Republic.
Oh, right.
So it's a tournament over a period of a weekend.
And when is it?
That is in July.
Okay.
Last year we would have won the under 14 again. That under 14 team, you need to mention that under 14 team. That team, we went to that tournament in City Cup, and we played about 7 games and not a goal scorer on us.
Yeah.
And we never lost a game. We win the tournament unbeaten. And to do that in Trinidad against the top clubs in Trinidad, Marcus, that ain't easy. Trinidad, we went coming to talent, and we see the talent pool in Trinidad is huge. So when Tobago teams and even the primary school teams that just went down there, we have to give homage and special recognition to teams that win national tournaments, you know, or athletics or whatever. We need to treat it differently because winning a national tournament is not the easiest thing compared to the talent that we come up against in Trinidad.
Fantastic. And Marcel, I mean, we are running out of time. In fact, we are out of time. So Natalie, watching me bad idea. Of course, always good having you guys on set here. I need to have you back again talking about all the development programs that you guys are doing here in Tobago.
Sure.
And of course, Marshall, thank you so much for being here this morning. Brave soul, congratulations on the play of the tournament, and of course, continue leading the community that you are in Plymouth. And I'm hoping you have other young players in Plymouth can come out and do what you are doing as a footballer. Not just football, cricket too, basketball as well, track and field. Whatever it is, sport is the vehicle, right? And of course, God above everything.
God above
Marcel,
everything.
thank you so much for being here this morning. Again, congratulations to you and of course the community of Boa Blasters.
Thank you very much.
Viewers, thank you so much for being tuned this morning to the sporting segment on this Tobago Updates Television. Remember, it's ready. This evening at 7:30, we are all going to be converged at the Hazel Crawford Stadium in support of our Soca Warriors. They're taking on St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. That's football, that's cricket, you know. St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis. The Patriots. It's the World Cup qualifier 7:30. Of course, guys, don't forget to share the live. Natalie, right after the break.
Mainly focusing on diseases of cocoa. Black pod and witch's broom are currently in Trinidad and Tobago, and we're going to give some sensitization about frosty pod, which is a disease that's in the region that could have devastating impacts to the cocoa. These are so problematic, they affect the economic part. It doesn't necessarily kill the tree, but it makes the farmers feel less productive.
Today, the focus is on identifying the diseases of cocoa towards rehabilitation and restoration of the cocoa. So, as you know, we have one of the finest cocoa in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't want to lose our genetic stock, and therefore this particular training today is for that.
I believe it's important to information and to know, to be up to date with what is taking place. And we learned that the frosty pod disease is just in our neighboring Venezuela, so we have to be on the lookout for that particular disease and to know what to do in the event that it gets here.
So this workshop will help facilitate, refreshing the knowledge that officers have and putting things in place so we can get these cocoa back up and running, back up at production, optimal production at that.
Now, BioReach really is looking at conserving diversity and taking on agroecological practices to now look at the agricultural landscape and see how we could better the landscape using that. So the BioReach is really for the landscape, the productive landscapes of Trinidad and Tobago.
I think it's a good idea. Agents on board with the division and with the ministry by extension, because the ministry cannot do it all alone. So these agencies will help bring information to us extension officers and on our wider farmers in Tobago.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
For staying with us this morning. I'm your host, Natalie Seeley Richardson. It is Friday, the 6th of June, 2025. Yes, we are halfway through the year, and you are viewing GMT Good Morning Tobago. We're getting right into it this morning. Sitting next to me in studio is Assemblyman Sonny Craig. We all know him as the area representative for the Buku Mount Pleasant Canaan area, and he is here sitting in the capacity of Assistant Secretary in the Office of the Chief Sec, and he is responsible for what we know as DECCE. I have to make sure I get that right. A lot of letters there. And that's the Department of Environment, Climate Change and Energy. Good morning, Mr. Craig.
Good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure being here. It's always a pleasure being at Tobago Updates. And as you mentioned, let me say a special good morning to my constituents in Buku, Mount Pleasant and Canaan.
All right.
It's a pleasure to be here today.
Good. And of course, I want us to talk. We know yesterday we had one of your colleagues, Mr. Beckles, on, and we were talking about World Environment Day that was observed yesterday. And we want to continue that conversation, you know, and if you can just give us an idea of the responsibility of that department you had, because some viewers may be hearing that for the very first time. You know, tell us what that department really, that responsibility is.
Well, you recall that in 2024, the Chief Secretary did some realignment. And one of the changes he made was to put me in a position to head up this department. The global situation is dire in some cases, and he thought it prudent to have a department that looks directly at this. And as the acronym suggests, environmental concerns are real, climate change is real, and of course energy, because if I take it the other way around, energy is energy. We need energy. I mean, if you don't have energy, you can't even wake up this morning.
Right.
And it could be expanded to so many different expressions of energy. We know we are a society that functions basically on a fossil fuel based kind of system to power our lives. And with the advances in technology, there are so many options available. And Tobago should not be left behind. You know, I was recently, up to Thursday, I came back Thursday from an energy conference in Trinidad, and that was yesterday. It finished Wednesday afternoon, so for it to be so. And it was a very interesting conversation. Of course, sitting in an energy conference in Trinidad, you will have all the big players in the oil and gas industry.
Yes.
And I'm learning, we are learning, because I went along also with Miss Melanie Trim. I must extend condolences to her. She buried her father just yesterday. And one of my staff, Miss Kershel Elliott, was also there with us. And we were able to glean from the movers and shapers in the energy industry. We know that Tobago hosts within our shores and within our geographical space a certain amount of energy. I mean, natural gas and oil and so on. So the conversation will continue. And of course, a lot was said about alternative energy. All right, solar, a lot of conversation on wind. What parts of the country do we have the wind, the velocity we could use to really generate energy? And there was a conversation even as far as wave energy. So these are still early days, but as far as energy is concerned, of course, you know, climate change revolves around the whole idea of the ozone layer, El Nino, El Nina. So the viewers will have to do some research, because there's a lot to talk about.
It is.
Yeah, and of course the environment, where you live, how you live, and the factors that add or take away from a better standard of living for you as an individual.
Right.
And there's the environmental concern. That's as simple as I could make it.
Right. And I saw in your address to us here in Tobago and even a wider community for in observation of World Environment Day, you shared some words, and of course I just want to quote this part. Respect for this environment on which we depend for our socio-economic well-being, end of quote. Right? So you have tied the environment to how it sustains us.
Yes.
Do you think as Tobagonians or people who live in Tobago, we're really serious about how we impact this environment that we depend on?
I don't think we have really made it a study. The average Tobagonian lives, and we do not have a high level of industrialization on the island. So then we live within our comfort zone. We do things that we think are convenient to us. And so we might be harming the environment, but because the volume is not that extreme as in larger states, we will not see the impact immediately. A quick example, a good friend of mine, his name is, I'll call his name, Lincoln Archer, and he was telling me that if you live close to a mangrove swamp and the runoff from your kitchen, the soap, the soot that runs out of your kitchen, continually trickles into a mangrove sensitive area. Over time, it will kill the mangrove. And if you do the chain reaction study, how important mangroves are, because that is one of the arguments that slow down the whole sandals conversation.
Right.
Because mangroves in proximity to where you wanted to put the hotel, and mangrove swamps as nursing or hatcheries for so many different marine species. So if we understand it in that we impact it as simple as the soap water that runs out of your kitchen sink. So we have to become such a disciplined people, because we brag about our beauty as an island, but that is not indispensable. It's not to say, well, it is indefinite.
Correct.
If we do not do what we should do. Another case in point, I remember as a child, everybody had a fireside in the yard. You know, as children, we had to rake up all the leaves that fell and we burn them, right? Everything was burnt. Now, in an era where we have so much plastics and so much different matters that once you put them into the fire, it exudes these dangerous gases. So our practice of 30, 40 years ago definitely need to change going forward, because obviously 40 years ago we didn't have so much plastic in this space. And if you notice in my comments, we spoke to plastics. And that is something that we really have to control on the island.
We're talking about the environment and how we should, coexist, right? Plastics, because I know the focus of World Environment Day yesterday surrounded that specific material, although there are many other materials we can talk about. But let's look at plastics. I know at one point there was a big launch. We had a gentleman, I think, and may have been in partnership with THA. I stand to be corrected for that. Encouraging people to drop off their plastic bottles in bins strategically located by schools, public areas. And I was heavily involved in that because I have one of my sons, that's Mr. Recycle. He's always fussing that he doesn't see different bins to put things in so he would be collecting hundreds of plastic bottles, and I have to go, ever so often to let him put them in the relevant bins.
Future leader.
But I'm not seeing that anymore. So give us an update, because I know there was a big publicity about it. Is that still available for members of the public?
Well, there are some challenges with that program. One, I'll take it back to the doorstep of the average citizen. Those bins were so compromised in certain areas. You wouldn't believe some of the things people threw in those bins. And that created a real logistic nightmare just to sort out that garbage.
I can imagine,
to get the plastic bottles out of it. I would like to tell you what are some of the things people threw in there, but they threw things in there that were so far removed from what plastic is that it created stench.
Right?
You understand where I'm going?
Yes.
It created extreme stench. So I'm encouraging the public to try to cooperate with these programs to ensure we get the
we get the purest collection, if you want to have a better term, because it's not garbage, eh?
Right. No, yeah.
It's recyclables, because garbage is what we can't use again. And the program is on a slow. There are legal concerns to be sorted out, but still the collection drive continues.
Right.
Yeah?
But how do we get us, including myself, to have that mindset? Because I mean, I think there's a lot of educational information out there. I mean, sometimes it's sitting there and people want everything to come to them. But as concerned citizens, and as you rightly said, Tobago is such a beautiful place, but it's not going to be like this forever if we continue along this pathway. How do we get people to understand that even while you're brushing your teeth, leaving your tap water running, has an impact on the limited water resource, on the environment? You mentioned the runoff to the swamps. We have this individualistic attitude. Well, that's just my water. But when you think it's not you alone, it's your neighbor, the whole village, and all the water running there, you can just imagine what can happen. How do we change us?
Right. You mentioned information is out there. And I know most people, if not everybody, has one of these. And they have access to the entire world and what's happening. And if you had the privilege, I say privilege is not a nice place to really be, but if you had the privilege of going to the landfill at Tobago originally began as 10 acres, which I think could have been used differently. But at the time when they began using the landfill, recycling was not such a big conversation. But it's less than 1 acre available for storage, and most of the space is used up by plastics. Plastic bottles, plastic bags. And if you use your device and just do a simple YouTube check on recycling plastic, you'll realize that in the larger world, people survive on this. There are people who collect these on the shopping carts in the cities, and they exchange them for small money. But so we as a Tobago House of Assembly are at the beginning stages. There's so much that this fairly-led administration want to do for Tobago and still will do for Tobago. And one of the constraints we had for really getting deeply into the recycling of plastics and everything else is funding.
Right.
Basic funding. The previous regime, whether it's deliberate, and I believe it's deliberate, or funding was not as disciplined as we would like it to be. We are hoping for a different arrangement now. But there is so much that we want to do. We even have foreign partners who are seeking to, foreign patrons who are seeking to go into partnership with the THA to set up recycling hubs on the island. These things would have to be dealt with carefully, and of course, but the original question about what could we do, there is a sense of patriotism that we might be losing as Tobagonians. I remember recently some European scientists came to Tobago, and they were so impressed as how clean this place was. And I'm talking about during my time, maybe 2021, 22, around that area. And they were so impressed with how clean this place was. And I am not impressed with how clean this place is.
Right.
But apparently, when they make the comparison to wherever they came from, they think that Tobago is top of the line, I'm not going to use that as a measuring stick, because when you get home, well, it's when I get home and I approach my property, I try to look at it as a passerby. We as Tobagonians, we take pride in where we live, and we should take pride in where we live. We should take pride in ourselves, from personal hygiene all the way out.
Right.
And as you dig into that part of you, right, from your bath, everything, to how your bedroom is. Could you go home this evening and just go and lie down because you made up your bed this morning and it's put away nicely? I want to encourage Tobagonians to develop that sense of self-discipline. So then when you learn the route that the society is going on, when you look at it and you hear the conversations about plastics and burning plastics, you could be able to say, because it's part of your DNA now, that this is something I want to cooperate with, and it's something I want to desist from doing, continuing to do.
And we really have to encourage each other, I always end our Friday show by saying, I am my brother's keeper, and it's something that we we don't like to hold the two, but we really need to encourage each other. And I just want to ask you, because I know our time is pretty much gone, what are some of the initiatives coming out of this department?
Right. So, as we on plastic, early in our term, we looked at the possibility of removing the use of plastic bags from our retail outlets. I was blessed to go to 2 Caribbean islands, one in 22, one in 23, where I witnessed, going to the grocery, where I witnessed the cashier asked me, "Do you have a bag?" I said, "No." She pulls a bag from below the counter and she swipes it, $1.
Yes.
And she packs my goods into the bag. And the bag is a biodegradable bag. And it is the Chief Secretary working to have this change come to the island. And we sourced enough bags to give every family in Tobago 3 bags. Back to funding again. It was stuck.
Right.
And that is something we hope to bring on course before the end of the year, where we are going to give you the blessing of your first 3 bags. A large, a medium, and a small. When you go into the supermarket, you go with your bag.
Right. And you see some of the big supermarket chains, even right in Trinidad.
Right in Trinidad.
You know, you would make that one-time purchase of the bag.
Yes.
Right. And you usually, the expectation is that you return with it so that you don't have to use the plastic bags. And in a lot of places, you know, we are so spoiled here, viewers. We like everything for free. And many of you, I know, expose and travel. And you very well know when you go in the supermarket, you pay for that plastic bag. You know, and when you hear it being discussed here, you get very you know, adamant or against it, but that's just how it works.
And paying is so strange, eh? If I could explain it this way, paying for everything is not bad because nothing is free. Even when you think you get something free, it's
somebody
not free.
paid for it.
Nothing is free.
Correct.
Somebody paid for it, and many times it comes back for you to pay for it because sometimes by giving all this freeness, the government incurs a charge.
Right.
And when you balance in your books and you look at this charge, you need to find a way to deal with it. Some governments increase taxes in certain areas to offset that. So then you didn't really get it free because you end up paying for it in your increased taxes.
Right.
So we travel and we make the comparisons all the time. Yeah. But in the process of building an island, I want to encourage Tobagonians. I want to tap into your sense of patriotism as a Tobagonian. And I think maybe as we go ahead with this department, a lot of education would be brought to you where we could look at how do we build the greatest little island on the planet. We can't build that island with business as usual. You look at the greatest athletes on the planet and you look at their routine and their regimen, it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of sacrifice. And if we continue with some of the negative things we might have as our daily practices, we are going to keep going downhill.
Right.
Yeah, I was privileged to be in another training where we were looking at how the town and country functions, and when you get your approved plans and you build your building and you don't build to specifications and you are able to somehow get it approved, and you think you got away with something, but then you end up in a scenario where because you didn't build to specification, the runoff from your property might be creating harm because it wasn't built to specification. And so, regardless of how we try to escape that responsibility, it is real. It is real. We have to deal with the consequences of our actions. So it's better we ensure our actions line up to the best standard and the best discipline.
And if we think we will get away from the consequences, we have children, we have grandchildren.
That's right.
And what are we really leaving for them? And I think sometimes, again, because we are so individualistic and we think about me, and I'm okay, we don't think about those we are leaving behind or those to come. You know, what are some other initiatives? Because I know there is a lot going on and people may not know.
Yes, and every initiative I'm going to raise with you has been stymied for funding, because they are not, they are still to be acted upon, and we have we have our districts basically suffering in some areas for lack of funding. Sometimes the assemblyman is not able to deliver everything he said he would deliver, and these are concerns that the public might have. I just had to stick that in because it's easy in the political season for anybody to rise up and say, oh, Mr. Craig didn't deliver or Mr. This didn't deliver.
Right.
But when you look at it, there are those who look deeper into the conversation and will realize that you could deliver encouragement, you could deliver sometimes out of your pocket. And some people get a lot of assistance from assemblymen directly out of their pockets.
Right.
And if you live well in Tobago, your friendship list doesn't stay in your district. So when my friend from a village in the east calls and says, Sonny, I need help with this or that, you are inclined to try to help. But sometimes if your help goes outside your district too far, when the people in your district need help, you are dry.
Right.
So that's just a by the way. But as a department, we are seeking to get the plastics under control, and we want to stop indiscriminate dumping. There are some places on the island where there is no garbage bin. Maybe there used to be one 20 years ago, but that bin was removed. And some people, maybe just force of habit, they just come to this point and
they
drop
just
their
use
bags.
this spot.
There's a point in Old Grange. When you leave Montgomery Recreation Ground and you head into Booker Point, there's a place on the left side of the road in a fairly nice residential area. But there used to be a garbage cage, I remember, maybe 30 years ago. It's not there anymore. People will throw refrigerators there. People will throw stoves, mattresses, and assorted garbage bags.
But are we like this because there seems to be no consequences? So we know it has, like, on the books, our laws, you know, you have litter fines, etc. But and sometimes it may be hard to catch a person in the act. But if you know you have these areas where it's a dumping ground and illegal dumping is taking place, you know, can the areas be monitored? I know we have litter wardens in Trinidad. I'm not sure if it's Trinidad and Tobago or if it's, you know, that kind of thing. Like, do you hear anybody being charged for littering? Sometimes you're driving behind a vehicle and you see something fly out the window.
A box.
You know?
Most times a box or a
right? And that kind of thing. And my boys will be like, Mommy, you see that? You see that? And they get all like, you know, I said, yes. And they get so upset. Why are they doing that? And, you know, and again, you know, the adults, again, we have to pass on that training. Because my children are very aware of their environment. Right? And it's not because it just happened, but it's because the parents would have taught them what they heard in school and that kind of thing. And that's what I'm saying. We wait for government agencies to tell us too often what to do. And we wait for a policy to be implemented. But this is ours, this is mine, this is yours, what we doing with it.
We have personal responsibility.
That's right.
Personal responsibility.
That's
so then
right.
litter wardens are in the conversation. We cannot allow it to continue.
Right.
And there is the option, the conversation also involved putting up cameras in areas, so once we could catch you in the act, we could seek to take it through the law and see if we could discourage that kind of conduct on the island. Right? There was something else there.
What about, let me ask you, because you see a lot of this, the seaweed washing up on our shores.
There you go.
And the stench of it, like, you know, you're driving on the highway for those of us on this side of the island. I know you have it in country, you know, in Scarborough, Lambo area, and it's like, what is that scent? And then you realize, oh, the seaweed is here.
It's here. And we are expecting a large deposit this year as the year trickles on. Yesterday in Speyside, we set up a monitoring system that could monitor the stench coming out of it, basically.
Right.
It's solar powered, and it allows us to look at the levels and to ascertain when it gets to a point where it's harmful to the human. We set up this mechanism on the compound of Speyside High, and we didn't do it arbitrarily. We had foreign partners working with us, and we did the total analysis as to where is the best place to put it. And you'll appreciate that Speyside, by virtue of that dish type shape, that horseshoe type, when all the seaweed comes into the bay, the concentration allows and the wind direction allows for the best point at which we could monitor this.
Right. So what exactly are you monitoring? The amount of seaweed, or you're monitoring the
gases,
fumes coming from?
The gases coming from it.
Okay.
And we intend to put up 2 more around the island to get a more homogeneous report. So once we glean that information, we'll be able to advise. Now, I'm not saying we're going to shut down Speyside, but at least when you look at where the school is in proximity to the seaweed, that's a decision that the principal could make very easily. Let's lock it off for the day. And the children, even if they live in Speyside, or the villagers live in Speyside, you don't have to stay around, because that'll be a mega movement to
So let me, because I don't want our viewers to go away not understanding. So this monitoring system is for the gases that would be emitted.
Yes,
and you're saying that you're monitoring the levels, because at some point it can become too much dangerous, right? And the idea is to monitor that. So let's assume that it's at a dangerous point. You collect this data and you realize, okay, for the last week or couple days, however the intervals have to be for it to be flagged, you know, it's reading this. What's the plan to do with that? What's the plan, you know, in collecting that data? Yes, because we're very good in this Trinidad and Tobago place of collecting data. But what do we do with it?
Right, but you have the data.
Yes.
And you have your beautiful children in the school right there.
Yeah.
Which could be, it's on the front line, basically. And as I said, the principal will have to make a call, basically.
Right.
And once the children's health is at stake, there is the option of maybe closing school for that day. And of course, the monitoring system is there to advise when it might be safe for them to come back.
Right. And what can we do then to deal with it? So yes, we're being given this information. This may be the temporary plan if this happens, but the seaweed is coming in. What can we do then?
There are offers being made now to the THA of harvesting vessels, and we are analyzing that information. These vessels have these rotating belts in the water and storage bays that could trap the seaweed out at sea. And then we could ascertain where we would like to store it, because if you go through the amount of conversations on sargassum at the moment, there are some people who have made use of it, and some people who are discouraging it. We need to find out what is the best option for Tobago. It is not prudent, or even it doesn't define a good sense of teamwork to just remove it from our shores and leave it out at sea. To become the burden of another country, because it doesn't stop moving, it moves with the tide. So we'll have to determine, when we harvest it, where do we store it? And these are very high price suggestions to dealing with the problem. So we cannot just do nothing, because you recall, I don't know if you could recall, when Speyside was really inundated with seaweed, the fishermen couldn't function, the village was under so much stench. And I remember them clearing it out with excavators and trucks, dumping it up in the hills somewhere, and creating space just to dump it and allow it to rot out. So that still remains an option, but the ideal would be to harvest it at sea
before it gets to land.
And that's something that will have a cost to it, but it's something we are analyzing.
And Tobago has a lot of brilliant people. I see other people making use of it in the islands. It's ingredients in beauty products. I even saw quite recently, which really took my mind, if I can say it like that, using it to make blocks. Using construction. So I know, and we have a entrepreneurial spirit here as well. So some research can be had. I know, again, we wait for the government to do everything, but that can be, a business venture for you. So, of course, Assemblyman, we have to wrap up. And I just want, you to use this last few seconds to encourage us to be more aware of our environment and to take the baby steps. You don't have to be converted overnight and say, oh, no plastics coming in my house, right? But we need to take baby steps. So encourage us as we wrap up this morning.
Correct. I recently sat at my front door and I had a water bottle in hand, and it slipped me to bring that. Next week when I come back, I'm going to bring my bottle to show you something that I invented. I invented something and I was ready to patent it. Only to go on YouTube or TikTok or one of them, and I saw the Chinese had the exact same thing. And it's not the first time I come up with something. At one point I was trying to use tires as a retainer wall.
I saw someone do that. I saw it and I was fascinated by it.
And I want to encourage Tobagonians. I am only one. And I could imagine if we have 1,000 of us on the island who are constantly looking for ways to recycle or just to improve existing standards on the island.
Right.
Somebody was walking up these steps some time ago and said, oh God, if you could have had something to lift us to the top, boom, elevators.
Right.
So I want to encourage Tobagonians. There is so much ability and opportunity on the island. Sometimes we could be tempted to look at the THA to trigger everything. Not because I'm working here, but it's something I invented a few things which I'll bring to the fore at the right time. But in the context of this whole plastic, there's a plastic revolution where people out there are just taking these bottles up and just thinking outside the box and coming up with ideas. Even tires. People, my kitchen garden is nestled in tires. So we could not only use these things to our benefit, but we should also be mindful that allowing them to just go haywire in the communities is not good for the island. And I want to encourage us from our personal position to be more passionate about Tobago, to be more disciplined about the things we do and how we manage our waste on the island.
Right.
This is a place we talk about tourism. Tourism is built on a lot of order and an organized society. You would like to go to a foreign country and there is this fear and a fear of uncertainty. And I'm encouraging us to head in that direction in building our island. Yeah?
And thank you so much for sharing with us and encouraging us. And let me challenge the viewers, a simple thing you can do. Instead of buying cases of individual bottles of water, buy a 5-gallon, have it there home, put a little pump on it, and have a water tumbler. So every morning you refill that water tumbler, that water bottle, and you take it to work and you have that. You come home, you wash it, you fill it again, instead of just using all these individual bottles and just throwing it somewhere. All right, viewers, so we can make a difference. We go for a quick break, and when we return, our next guest, Mr. R.J. Allen, will join me, and we are talking about primary school plenary. You'll remember the action from last year? Well, we'll hear a little about it this morning as it's coming up, so stay tuned.
60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 GB fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. You are viewing GMT. Good morning, Tobago. I'm your host, Natalie Seeley Richardson, and sitting next to me is Mr. R.J. Allen, no stranger to the media. He's always representing former youth parliamentarian and youth assemblyman. Good morning, R.J., and welcome.
Good morning, Ms. Natalie, and good morning to Tobago.
We are talking about primary school plenary. What is this initiative about, and how long has it been ongoing?
Okay, so this is the second edition of the primary plenary. It was started last year by Presiding Officer Abby Taylor, and the intention was to bring down and have the younger person have access to the house. We know people see the legislature as this big building that looks like a courthouse, and we want to begin to break that and allow persons to access it to learn what governance looks like beyond the political view, or beyond hearing from
because
politicians.
It is so much more than the politics.
Way more than the politics. So you just introduce them into governance and have them debate like a politician, be an assemblyman for the day, eat like an assemblyman for the day, and just like an assemblyman for the day as well.
And how is that adding to the fabric of Tobago? Because someone may say, well, you're wasting your time. Some of us are very negative. What you're doing that with the children for? They ain't ready for that. But how does investing in our primary school children at this age, exposing them to governance and understanding the process that takes place, how is it going to impact Tobago?
You see, I remember Eric Williams said a couple of years ago, the future of our nation is in the school bag of our children. And it's something we take very wholeheartedly at Assembly Legislature in education and outreach. But allow me to use one example to encapsulate the whole journey. So we had a young lady last year whose first interaction with us was at the primary plenary caravan. So we go around to all the schools.
Right.
And unfortunately, her school wasn't selected to be a part of the final or the first 21 schools last year. So when we did our secondary school tour, we met her in Scarborough as a first former.
All right.
Same energy, same enthusiasm for governance. To our great surprise, she was selected by Scarborough a first former.
Right.
Debated it excellent at the house. And she got the opportunity to travel to the UK, a part of the study tour as well, first former as well.
Right.
And she's still heavily involved in governance. She still likes to debate. She still wants to understand how the decisions our politicians make would affect her. A first former.
Yes.
And this is usually for 4th, 5th, and 6th formers. So it's beginning to trickle down, and we also have now families becoming a part of the discussion, because what we realize happening is in the preparation of the student, it's no longer the teacher alone. So we incorporated the parents a lot more this year.
Right.
And we now have granny helping to prepare the student. We now have a family discussion happening now over the set topic for debate this year.
You're talking about preparing these primary school students, and I know you are one of the trainers. Tell us a little about what is involved, because we see the end result through the media and we feel proud and say, yes, we're in good hands. But what goes on to bring that child up to that point?
So it's a long process. I mean, it's tiring. I mean, I got a message at after 5 this morning from a student and a teacher preparing for it. And we expect that at this point.
Right.
So usually they will have an introduction into parliamentary procedures. So they will learn unparliamentary language. Yes, we are teaching them what is unparliamentary language.
Right.
So they will go through the procedures to understand how the house would operate. They would also spend some time with a subject matter expert to bring context, so they would understand that it's not just a show, quote unquote, or we're going to see a nice fancy speech.
Yes.
But they would understand the context of it. They would also spend some time understanding dress etiquette and civility. So they would understand why you dress a particular way, why sometimes it seems colonial in some circumstances, and so on. So they would understand that as well. And then they'll spend some time doing debating techniques and public speaking. So Ms. Cooper and myself would share that debating and public speaking with them so they would understand how do you present. Why it is important to take your time and speak, how you take breaths and so on. So it's about a 2 to 3 week process usually. Sometimes it's rushed, but the students usually enjoy the experience.
And I think, you know, it impacts them not just in that one point, but if you're teaching primary school children how to express themselves in a particular way, how to express that, okay, I hear you, but my point is different and I can present it with, as you say, civility and not the whole big, you know, orangutan argument. So I think that is really important and it will go a long way. And you saw it with the example of your first former. And I'm sure we will see more of her. And who knows, she might be an assemblyman someday or even something more grand, you know, representing and advocating for the people. Now, with all of this, there are going to be challenges, maybe not a lot. If you can probably just share with us maybe one of the hiccups that you all may have encountered in your first year and how you may have tweaked things to accommodate and overcome that for this year.
So I think last year being our first, we had a lot of teething issues, as would be obvious. One of our main challenges, we found out that teachers were complaining. They were saying it's a little bit heavy for them. And we know teachers are unsung heroes. So what we decided we would have done this year is to have a little more parental involvement.
Okay.
And it really worked for us. We saw the parents really supporting the children this year. We saw them asking a lot of questions, coming to the training sessions. In some cases, they were trying to contain some of their questions as well, because there's a lot of conversation that we would have that generally we wouldn't think of, we didn't consider. You're so busy with your day-to-day job, you're so busy taking care of your family. And sometimes this opportunity to sit and to listen on some of these governance issues, it really was impacting for them. And by the way, should I add, the students will be tackling one of the hot issues in Tobago.
Yes, because I was to ask you, what is the topic
over
for
a number of years.
Yes.
So they will be discussing how autonomy would affect them,
Right.
the youth of Tobago.
Excellent. And you know, I'm really happy to hear about the parents because they too are learning. And we take it for granted that people understand this. So, you know, because you have the plenary sessions, people view it. But a lot of people are not really interested in that. They listen just to sound bites coming from politicians through whether it's mainstream media, social media, and then form a thesis on it. But here, you know, you have the parents now having an opportunity to understand more about the process.
But do you know what I found interesting? The primary school sittings usually have a larger viewership than the actual assemblymen, by the way.
Yeah, why you think so?
And I think because the children are usually uncut, so we don't tailor their presentations. We guide them along the way.
Okay.
And we also enforce with the parents, it's their perspective. So you have the conversations.
Right.
But allow the children to write their presentation, use their own words.
Okay.
So it's just enhancing what they think or how they feel about the issue.
Right.
And usually get a raw, uncut.
Children have a tendency to be brutally honest.
Brutally honest. And I think that's one of the things that we are looking forward to going forward into this debate. I mean, I have heard presentations from them. They want to find out what is transitionary, how it would work. We had someone asking the chief how he think Tobago would have been if we had never left the British, if we had remained a colony. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even think of something like that.
Right.
You know, so it's really interesting so far. I've heard a number of excellent presentations yesterday while spending time with some of them. I mean, I'm just excited. I can't wait to hear their perspectives. I am almost suspicious that some of our sitting politicians may get a schooling possibly based on some of the presentations to come.
Right. When can the public now view this? And I know there's a public gallery, so maybe you have people can come in. So tell us when.
So persons can come in. The debate is on Thursday at 10 a.m. up at Assembly Legislature. We also have an overflow in place, so you can come and also sit on the outside and be a part of the proceedings as well. Usually Tobago Updates usually brings these sittings live.
Those who need to hear. So usually Tobago Updates bring this live,
so I'm not too sure what's going to be happening. They usually are very, very supportive. At Assembly Legislature, so we must thank the staff of Tobago Updates as well. So you can tune in there as well and share your comments and so on.
Yes, so I just got wind that yes, we are going to bring it live. So for those who cannot make it at the location at Legislature, Tobago Updates Television, we have you covered. Primary plenary debate that is next Thursday starting at 10 a.m. and we will definitely be bringing it to you live. Now, this is the second year. What happens, now I know it's an initiative of Miss Abby Taylor, and I know we have a history of when we change over hands leadership, some things get cut, and I would really not like for something that is taking form and you see the benefits just because it's not my idea and I am here now that I am going to get rid of it. So I'm hoping, you know, if powers have to change, that something like this is continued, even though you may tweak it a bit and bring your spin to it, but it really is there because at the end of the day, the children are benefiting. And we're talking about preparing our children to take their rightful place. Now, we're talking about debates, and there might be parents who, when they even hear that, do you have parents you have to convince, no, this is how this happens, allow your child to be part of the process?
Not necessarily, no. And I mean, that was a great surprise us as a team, because we thought you might have gotten some timidity, some parents would have been concerned. Miss Natalie, they throw their children 100% into the process.
Right.
These parents are coming to almost all of the training sessions. I mean, at yesterday's session when we had them present, we had also asked some parents to leave, because the children were looking at their responses or trying to feed off of their parents as well. Yes. But they have been extremely supportive in this process. And interesting fact as well. So we all know about the Tobago Day debate, which was started by Presiding Officer Kelvin Charles. So this is just basically Ms. Taylor adding to the process and adding a spin to it.
And that's why I made the point, you know, when powers change, the hands of power change, you may bring your spin to it and add to it, but not necessarily cut it. I think for too long, you know, something may be working, but because it doesn't come from your camp, you know, we just shut it down sometimes. So I really hope that this is something Tobago can continue seeing, that our children can benefit. And of course, we're talking about primary plenary, but it's not only primary school, you also have secondary school, right?
We also have the secondary school, which is the Tobago Day debate.
Right.
I mean, that has been running for a number of years. I have been through that program as well.
Right.
So it's beginning to produce a number of star-studded persons being a part of the process. A number of them has gone on to represent Trinidad and Tobago nationally as well at youth conferences outside of the region.
Excellent. And of course, we're grooming them at an earlier age so they are better able to take their place and hone their skills. Now, if someone is viewing and never heard about, you know, primary school plenary, and they may not be a parent or even a child, but maybe a young person like yourself who may think they have that skill set to contribute to the training sessions, etc. Is there room to add persons who may be willing to volunteer? Of course, we know they will be vetted, etc. But if they have that interest, how can they reach out to someone?
Yeah, so all they simply just contact us via our social media, that's Assembly Legislature on Facebook. So once you reach out there, our communication officer would walk you through the process. And we're also in the process of setting up an alumni association as well.
Excellent.
So person who have been through the system, you can come back, you can contribute. And it may not just necessarily be in debate prep. It may be in volunteerism, it may be in donating.
Right.
It may be in all different forms, probably administrative in some extent, probably managing the social media.
Right.
So there are always room open for persons to come back and to contribute.
And I'm glad you mentioned those areas, because when we talk about events like this, we just see the end result. But I'm thinking, you know, in terms of budget, getting things done, getting the students ready, even the staff who may be there and others who may volunteer and not get a salary out of THA's purse, you know, how is the financial responsibilities, how is that, you know, being managed?
Okay, so I must publicly firstly say thanks to the clerks of the Assembly, because they usually fund and push the programs, but finances is a challenge, because sometimes we like to have the students whole day, but we can't keep them without lunch.
Right.
So there are times where we only be allowed to have them for the whole day on one day to provide lunch for them.
Wow.
Because of the funding. So sometimes we have all kind of nice tokens we want to give to them. Sometimes we have books that we may do, but because of funding, we can't educate and elevate on all levels at the way we would like.
Right.
So we have a number of ways circumventing it. One of the ways we're doing is what I'm having currently, which is a hoodie. So we do have people's house hoodies up at Assembly Legislature. We are doing pre-orders on the hoodies as well. You can get them in a number of different colors. So that's just to help offset some of the costs. We also have a study tour for the secondary schoolers, where they would usually go to the UK or probably Canada. So they can look at different governance systems. I mean, I've met Baroness Benjamin, I've met Lord Purvis, and some of these persons, so we can ask governance questions.
Right.
We want to do something similar for the primary scholars as well, but we know the THA purse is usually very, very cash-strapped.
Yeah.
So we're asking for you all to contribute. We don't just want to come and beg and they don't have anything to show for it. So you can purchase a hoodie, and we are open to corporate donations as well.
Right.
So you can contact us via the social medias as well, and then they will guide you through the process of being a part of primary plenary, as well as the other stuff we do at Assembly Legislature.
Right. So viewers, you saw a video just now on some of the samples of the hoodies available, and that's where you can support. Of course, those of you, there are many of you who can do more, And a simple thing as just saying how many students you have today. All right, I can sponsor lunch. Maybe you can even get some of your friends together and you know, split the cost of lunch for the students for that particular day so that they can be better prepared, they have more time. And I also came across this book sometime, Aji. It's Legislature of Adventures. I think we have a photo. We can put it up on screen. And I don't know how many of you know about this, but I recently came across this and I was quite intrigued, y'all. Y'all know things like this get me excited, right? History and documentaries. And I took it home to my boys and they loved the interaction it created. So there are puzzles. You have two characters exploring, you know, assembly legislature. And I must confess, Aji, you know this little logo of legislature? I never realized it was the legislature's logo. So I see it. But if somebody came up and asked me, what's the assembly's logo? I would never have identified it as this because it's just something that I'm not conscious of. But because of this little book that we have here in front of me, you know, it was brought to the forefront, and I made sure and I taught my sons, this is the logo. So when you see this, you know, it's an assemblyman, you know, it's to do with this, it's legislature, it's not a political group, it's not this is about governance for the people of Tobago. And I don't know how, and then there's a little color page with the assembly, the Tobago House of Assembly logo, the reason the colors are there, and just how we have the national flag and what it represents. And I wonder if these things are taught in school. So this is more Tobago-centric, but this is where we are. And yes, I never thought of the flag having meaning, the colors.
And the words on the flag as well.
Yeah, so, you know, even as an adult, this little handout book, you know, I learned so much from it. And I don't know how it can be made available. Again, you're talking about people contributing, right? And I know if you have to produce something like this, there must be a cost to it.
By the way, as well, that was produced in-house. There was an OJT station at Assembly Legislature. That's Mr. Tyrell Rodriguez.
Yes.
So he did all of the cartooning and the graphics and so on. So this was completely 100% produced Tobagonian.
Right.
And I mean, persons could reach out as well to be a part of it, whether it be your sponsor page in the book or your ask for an ad.
Yes.
These are all conversations we could do. I know that it's currently being revised, so there are going to be a second edition published.
Well, I am looking out for it. So, Jay, you're starting something here. So we have to make sure we see this new version. And we the people, again, Tobago, you know, we like to wait for everything to come to us. This is something I think is important. It's such a simple way of sharing information, and not just for children. It's very child-friendly. But as, you know, I shared my own experience with my interaction, you know, and this last page has a fun fact sheet that talks about, you know, Tobago House of Assembly. You have a little fun fact about Mr. Robinson, you know, the term for office of a Tobago House of Assembly individual. So we know elections are held every 4 years, you know, things like that. So, and kudos to the young man who worked on the graphics and put it together in-house, and even the rest of the team that supported. So great things can be made available for us, but we have to support it. So it's not just primary plenary debate, but that's the hot topic, because let me tell you, if you missed last year, don't miss this year. Those children, they come out, you hear them express themselves, and you have the minority bench, and you have this bench, and they do it so respectfully. And you know what I like? At the end of it, they all come together. They are children. So it's not like, you know, I always say, when I think of us as adults, sometimes all hope is gone. But when I see the young ones, I am very hopeful of what my future can look like, because not all is bad. There's a lot of positives out there. And to see these young children, because, I mean, primary school age, you know, see them really develop this skill and articulate themselves and be able to rebut, you know, you have a debate.
And allow me to add it.
Yes.
From interacting with these students, sometimes, I remember last year the chief said he wanted to hang up his jacket.
Yes.
I think I may have to do mine as well. Because they continue to show that level of interest. They continue to be very mannerly, very respectful. Yes. I mean, and they enjoy the experience. They ask some questions that sometimes as facilitators, we think they wouldn't ask.
Right.
And then the eagerness for it, the eagerness to tap the desk.
Yes.
Sometimes to ask, so why? I remember one of the times something had happened and we were going through some of the footage and teaching them how. And they used one of the terms that our assemblyman used that they weren't supposed to.
Right.
And we were like, they are watching.
Right.
So that is one of the things we need to be very, very keen on.
Right, so adults, politicians, you all heard that they are paying attention. And many of us, when you listen to the news or, you may have these strong opinions about political parties or this individual, and you express it in front of your children. You too, as the adult, have to be mindful because you are teaching your child how to express maybe not in a positive way. And again, it's okay to have your side, your color, whatever your viewpoint, calling out something because it is wrong. I'm not saying don't do that, but teach your children to do it in a respectful way because you are training that child not just for your home, but to take their place in this society, in this world out there. And there's a certain way we need to do things while standing for your truth, while advocating for yourself. But you have to learn how to do it because at the end of the day, you want to be heard, and you think of you raising that child who will become a young adult in your home. You too want them to maintain respect. So if they see us behaving a particular way and they copy us, and they'll call us out. As they say, children are brutally honest. Sometimes I correct mine at home. And they'll say, but mommy, remember when so-and-so? And then I have to get quiet and apologize and say, yes, I dropped the ball. Don't drop the ball like me. And we have to have a whole different conversation because they are holding me accountable as well for what I say and for what I do. So, RJ, I just want you to encourage the people to come out and support. The young people love to see when we come out. Yes, we can look at it on Tobago Updates television, but you coming out physically and sitting in that public gallery speaks volumes, when they see the faces, not just granny and auntie, but strangers who just came to support them. So encourage us.
So the debate happens on Thursday coming at 10 a.m., Assembly Legislature. I mean, I don't want to tell you, don't come and you miss something good. I'm saying, come, see it for yourself. The in-house experience is totally different to what you can view through a screen. The children, they really look forward to your hugs, your greetings, your conversations. Just be present, be a part of the process. It's your contribution. These are the children who would ensure that you could enjoy your pension.
And I like that. And thank you again, RJ. And for our viewers, RJ is a volunteer. He spends time helping develop our children to take their place in this plenary debate and also to take their place as they grow into teenagers and young adults. So I must say thank you on behalf of all of us, RJ, for seeing the importance of you passing on what you would have learned and being a mentor to our primary school students.
Thank you very much.
Viewers, and of course, the time has come to an end. You have been viewing Good Morning Tobago. It is Friday, the 6th of June, 2025. We are halfway through the year. Can you believe it? And as usual, I know the weekend begins for most of us today. Remember, you are your brother's keeper. And let us be safe and have a wonderful weekend until we see again.
60,000 people strong.